Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about herbs. Specifically, we are going to be talking about sorrel and how sorrel can be used to help us feel safe. So it was something that dawned on me a couple of days ago. The fact that I don't always feel 100% safe, and yes, I guess the buzzword around it nowadays is nervous system regulation, right? A lot of us are walking around with dysregulated nervous systems for a whole bunch of reasons. And the way that I kind of was interpreting this or feeling this the other day was this lack of safety. Even if everything is totally fine, I'm sitting in my house, the door's locked, nothing is happening, there's this underlying feeling of not feeling safe, and that's kind of probably ever present, but to high or low degrees. There are times when I'm feeling my best, and that isn't really something that I think about, right? It's not something that I dwell on. It's not something that I am taking any time to actually think about. But that night, because of where I am in my menstrual cycle probably, I was feeling higher than normal levels of anxiety, and I was contemplating why that was. I'd had a conversation with my therapist, and one of those times when everything kind of smooshes together and you have a light bulb moment and you're like, I don't feel safe. And I don't feel safe for no reason. There's not a glaring reason. It's actually just possibly the state of the world, possibly the state of my nervous system from childhood up, possibly a combination of all my traumas that I've been through in life. All of those things leading to a point where I'm sat inside, chilling out in an evening, and there is this underlying feeling of not feeling safe. Now, I think this is also tied in to energetic protection. I've done a couple of videos recently about energetic protection. Just as being a sensitive person, as being an intuitive, a psychic, I'm picking up a lot of things all the time, so I have to energetically protect myself. So it's kind of tied into that. But again, it is slightly different. So I thought, let me do a reading about this kind of safety and about rituals to keep us safe. Because it also clicked and dawned on me during this light bulb moment that a lot of my rituals, a lot of my energetic, psychic rituals, a lot of my intuitive rituals, a lot of the way in which I express my spirituality is keeping me safe. It is a way that increases the level of safety in my life, aka regulates my nervous system, right? So meditation, for example, being present in the moment, allows you to realise that there are no dangers in that particular moment for you, and it increases that level of safety when you're able to be present in the moment. So that's one example. But another example that I have been working on, exploring, has been through herbs. So as you probably know, if you've been following my channel or following my Instagram, is that I started a windowsill garden back in spring. And here we are now in October, in harvest time, right? And most of them have quieted down, have stopped kind of growing quite so much, except for the sorrel, which has been always kind of the hardiest and fastest growing of the lot. It's also the first one I think I planted. And I did a video about the sorrel before. And I've been amazed and kind of observed and then been amazed by the hardiness of this herb. I can forget to water them for a long time, and this one will just keep blooming. I can pick pretty much all of it in one go to put into a dish, and this will start blooming back again. And I've been observing this, I've been watching the behaviours of all the different herbs, and to me the sorrel is really speaking to us about resilience. It's really speaking to us about hardiness, sturdiness, solidness, and protection. It's also speaking to us about how to feel safe, because I think the key to feeling safe is in resilience. It's in accepting the traumas and the things that we've been through and being able to move forward regardless, being able to harness a level of peace regardless, okay? So this idea of resilience, protection, safety, all seems to come through to me with sorrel. And so it felt really clear to me that I needed to start incorporating sorrel into my spiritual practice. And I like the sorrel because this is, I think it's called common sorrel or English sorrel or garden sorrel. And I think it is quite prevalent in England, just randomly in your garden or woods or forests. I think it's a herb that can be found pretty much anywhere in England. And that connection to the earth is really important for me. It's really important for me to be connected to the earth in which I live. And I think simply having this in my house has led me to being more grounded, to feeling more safe, especially as I've just gone through a long period of recovery. And I've been inside my house and close to home very often. I've been walking in parks. It's this energy of groundedness that has helped me to increase my level of safety in difficult, trying, challenging times. So what I wanted to talk to you about today is about how you can incorporate sorrel, if you can get your hands on any, into protection, spiritual rituals that will help you feel safe. I've got my notebook with me today so that I don't forget what I've written down. I don't tend to make notes before these videos, but I did before this one. Now my eye is itching, which is interesting. I'm sat by the window. It is October when I'm filming this, but I do feel a little bit hay fevery, and that's not necessarily unusual for me. I tend to feel hay fevery at the beginning of spring and then at this time at the end of summer. Anyway. It's raining, you may hear the rain, I'm setting the scene here. It's really lush and green and rainy outside and the leaves are turning. I've got my herbs, I'm sat by my windowsill garden. And let's talk about sorrel and rituals with it that we can use to feel safe. So as I've said, sorrel really has an observable strength and hardiness and resilience, and therefore it can help us with these qualities in ourselves, especially when we are feeling unsafe. Okay, there's a lot going on in the world right now for all of us in many different ways. So this is a good time, I think, to work with a herb like sorrel in order to increase our levels of safety. Now, I'm not saying that the herbs are going to change the security that we feel outside of ourselves. The herbs are not going to change anything that's going on in the world. But what they can do is change our internal environment. They can change our internal landscape, okay? And not just that internal I guess what I mean by internal landscape is our energy field as well. They can change, right? They can change our internal landscape in terms of making us feel more calm, and they can change the energy field in the sense of what we then give off, okay? So, sorrel, how can we use this? I have been on the down low, quietly drying some herbs. So you've just seen the sorrel fresh plant here. I have been occasionally, when there's a bunch left and I don't need to use it for food, picking them off and drying them. I use the oven method. So it's like I put them on I pick the leaves, I put them on like a grease-proof paper-lined baking tray. I preheat the oven, I think it was to 150, and then I turn the oven off. Then I place the herbs in for about 20 minutes. They dry nicely, and then I break them up and stick them in a jar. So here is a clean glass jar. I got these jars off Amazon. You can see it's labelled sorrel, and you can see what the dried sorrel is looking like inside. Now, I've talked in a lot of videos recently, I think, about how our houses are kind of images, mirror images of ourselves, and how if we feel safe in our houses, we will feel safe in ourselves. So for me, dried sorrel is the perfect thing to like sprinkle at the doorway of your house. So sprinkle it on the outside. So don't sprinkle it on the inside of your house, sprinkle it on the outside of your doorway, okay? So just sprinkle like a little handful, kind of line the doorway. As you're doing that, hold the intention, say an affirmation about how safe you feel, and that will like provide protection for your house, both your physical house and also your human house, yourself, your body, your life, okay? You can also do this method for rooms that you want to have that extra level of sanctuary. So if your bathroom is your sanctuary, it's where you relax, you could sprinkle some at your bathroom door, you could sprinkle some at your office door, anywhere that you want that energy of safety to feel strong, and obviously anywhere that you may not necessarily be feeling strong. So I would sprinkle it in the evening, and then the next day, if you've done this outside, so if you've done this outside your front door, by the next day, just allow those herbs to be drifted off into the wind. If you live like in a flat like I do, you could wait for whoever cleans the corridor to hoover it up, or you could hoover it or sweep it up yourself. I don't feel there's any harm in leaving those herbs there until they naturally kind of dissipate. So only a light sprinkling, okay? You're not creating trash, just a light sprinkling or some dried sorrel. And then just leave it, honestly, to dissipate by itself if you can. So that to me is a really powerful way to use dried sorrel in order to increase your feelings of safety. So really simple. Something that I have been wanting to do for a really long time, because it feels just like really intuitively, it just feels to me like another method I can use to increase my feelings of safety and presentness. And I do a lot of energy work. I've been putting out a lot of work onto YouTube and Instagram with tarot, and the more I do that's outward, the more I need to do to protect my space, to feel safe, etc, etc. So probably in another video I'm going to go into candles. I'm going to talk a little bit about fixed candles and the use of herbs in those fixed candles, but that will be in another video. I want to leave you with some affirmations that you can use while you're sprinkling your herbs. Affirmations for safety. We can have I am safe, I am loved, all is well. So I am safe, I am loved, all is well. Affirmations specifically for our spaces. We can have my space is safe, my space is full of love, in my space all is well. So my space is safe, my space is full of love, in my space all is well. And obviously if you can't get hold of sorrel, if you haven't got any in your garden, or if you can't find any to pick anywhere, obviously like Google so you know what it looks like in the different varieties and whatnot, then other herbs that you can do the same thing with would be rosemary, sage, lavender, basil, thyme, chamomile, to name but a few. Do your research, see if there's any that speak to you. It's about having a herb that speaks of strength, resilience, protection, safety, calmness for you, sprinkling it at your doorways in order to keep the energy that comes in safe, to contain that safety, to act as a barrier and protection for yourself, for your home, for your space, for all that resides there. Obviously, if you've got any pets, be careful that whatever you're sprinkling is safe for them, because they may munch up. Okay, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll be back with another one soon. Lots of love. Bye.